Welcome in, everyone. Let's take a deep breath in. Let your shoulders drop. Soften your heart and unclench your jaw. This is a space for curiosity, for honesty, and for healing. You don't have to agree with everything here. You don't have to have it all figured out. You only have to be willing to listen, to wonder, to stay open. Let this be your invitation to explore your story, to examine what shaped you, and to make space for something new. This is not about answers. It's about deeper questions and softer hearts. And above all, the kind of truth that liberates. I'm Christina Baker, and this is the Retreat Full Circle podcast. Season 1, Episode 3, The Myth of Competition. Hey, heads up, everybody. This episode runs a little longer than usual. It's about 23 minutes, and there's a lot of juicy, thought-provoking stuff packed in here, like a Costco-sized box of inner truth. So don't hit play while wrangling kids or unloading the dishwasher. Save this one for a quiet walk, a solo drive, or a long soak in the hot tub. Give your brain that bubble bath it deserves. You'll want space to really take this one in. Oscar Wilde once said, "Be yourself. Everyone else is taken." I can still hear my dad on the sidelines encouraging me to be more aggressive on the soccer field. He meant well, but what he didn't see was that aggression just wasn't in my nature. I had the skill and the drive, but not the will to dominate. I wasn't wired that way. Looking back, I see that now as an early clue. I'm not here to compete. I'm here to collaborate. For a long time, I couldn't explain why I felt that way, but now I can. There is no such thing as competition when you understand who you are. Not who society says you are, not who your parents hoped you'd be, but who you were uniquely designed to be. When we're young, we're taught that competition is healthy. And sure, in some contexts, it is. Kids racing around on the playground, spelling bees, game night at home. It's fun. But somewhere along the way, it stops being fun and it starts being identity-based. It's no longer about what we're doing, but about who we are. We begin to believe that our worth is measured by comparison, grades, appearances, accomplishments, and then later in life, followers, income, job titles, square footage. We look side to side and all around instead of inward. And social media, it took that insecurity and made it into a soul-sucking sport. We scroll and we scroll and we scroll, watching highlight reels, curated feeds, filtered perfection, and it messes with us. We start thinking, why am I not there yet? Why don't I look like that? Why didn't I think of that first? It's exhausting, and it's a trap, and it's a lie. Because the truth is, you were never meant to keep up with someone else's timeline. You were never meant to walk someone else's path. According to the principles of human design, and I'll explain this a little bit more in a second, you were literally created as a one-of-a-kind energetic blueprint. There has never been and never will be another person quite like you. Not in essence, not in wiring, not in purpose. You don't have competition because no one else is qualified to live your life. So what is human design? If this is your first time hearing about it, let me give you the basics. Human design is a system that combines ancient modalities like astrology, the ancient Chinese I Ching, the chakra system, and the Kabbalah with modern quantum physics and genetics. It creates a map, a body graph, that shows your energy type, strategy, authority, and gifts. It reveals how you're meant to make decisions, where you pick up conditioning, and how you can step into your alignment. But here's what's wild about it. It proves that we were designed to be different. It's not a personality test. You don't choose the answers. It's based on your birth date, time, and place, meaning it's baked into you. Several months ago, a mutual friend reached out through our Full Circle Retreats Facebook page. She had just completed a workshop on human design and sent me the brochure for the retreat she'd hosted. She thought it might be a good fit for our space and our audience. I was swamped at the time, probably juggling a million things: animals, guests, laundry, emails. I glanced at the brochure, gave it a quick skim, and honestly, I blew it off. I'm a little embarrassed to admit that now, but it just didn't land with me in that moment. I clearly wasn't in the right mindset to receive. But a few weeks later, she circled back and gently nudged me again. This time, I actually read the brochure, and something clicked. I don't know what changed. Maybe I had slowed down just enough to hear it, but this time, I was intrigued. I messaged her back and we scheduled a discovery call. And let me tell you, after that one conversation, I knew I had stumbled onto something powerful. I booked a private session shortly after, and although I'm just scratching the surface of how deep human design really goes, I am completely blown away. Blown away by its accuracy, by its compassion, by the way it somehow explains what I've always known but never had the language for or have felt shame about. And honestly, by the way, it removes the shame and senseless striving and replaces it with an understanding. This isn't just another personality framework. It feels like a gift to humanity and to each of us individually. Your human design chart tells you what you already feel deep down, that you're not supposed to fit into someone else's mold, that your way of seeing the world, of responding to life, of creating, loving, resting, it's yours and no one else can copy it. So when you understand that, the whole concept of competition starts to unravel. Because how can you compare yourself to someone who's living out their design? That's like comparing a sunrise to a waterfall, a poem to a painting. Both are powerful, both are necessary, and both are totally incomparable. I've always been a little obsessed with trying to figure myself out. A few years back, I was introduced to the Enneagram by author and business coach Christine Kane at a creative writing retreat in Asheville, North Carolina. On the way home, I called my parents and said, kind of half joking, "Hey, I'm sorry for all that therapy you paid for. I think I just figured myself out." The Enneagram was incredibly helpful to me at the time. It gave me language for things I had felt but didn't understand. But over time, I started to feel limited by it. Like, okay, I'm a type 4 with a 3 wing, but so are thousands of other people. And while I related to the type description, it still grouped me in with others in a way that felt inauthentic. There are many other tests that can be useful, like the Myers-Briggs and such. I'm sure a lot of you have taken those tests for work and counseling or for fun. And I do believe they have value. We humans definitely share patterns. But what if there was an actual roadmap? Not just for behavior, but for how I was energetically designed to operate in the world. A tool that could show me how I make decisions best, how I'm wired to communicate, and what drains me versus what fuels me. And that's what I've recently found in a method which does not have any specific religious dogma or affiliation. That's human design. It was discovered in 1987 by a man named Alan Robert Krakauer, who claimed to have received the information during a mystical 8-day experience. He wrote a book under the pseudonym Ra Uru Hu in 1992. Now, whether you believe the mystical download part or not, the system itself is fascinating. Unlike other systems that group you in with others, human designs shows you something radically individual, that no one else has your exact chart, ever. You are a one of one. And that was the missing piece I didn't know I needed. And this is where things really started to shift for me. Because what human design confirmed was something I had always felt in my gut but couldn't quite explain. That we are not here to compete with one another. We are here to complete one another. Not in a Jerry Maguire kind of way, but in a collective space of loving energy exchange. Human design shows us that each person has a specific energetic makeup, a particular way their energy flows, how they process emotions, how they make decisions, how they're meant to interact in the world. And it's completely unique. That means there is no one-size-fits-all path. There is no right way to be. And most importantly, there is no room for comparison when you understand your design. If your chart shows you here to respond to life instead of initiate, how can you possibly judge yourself against someone who is built to initiate? If someone else thrives with structure and logic, and you thrive in emotion and intuition, why would you hold yourself accountable to their standard of success? It doesn't make sense. We've been so conditioned to think we need to be good at everything, to be self-sufficient, high-achieving, multitasking machines. But human design shows us the opposite. We are meant to work together. We are meant to bring our individual pieces to the collective puzzle. It's like the body. One person might be the heart, emotive, passionate, and full of fire, and another might be the lungs, bringing rhythm and breath. Someone else might be the spine, quiet but grounding. Every part is essential, but none of them compete to be the other. That's what community is supposed to be. Human design actually maps this out in something called definition, or areas of the chart where your energy is consistent, and openness, the places where you take in and amplify the energy of others. This isn't a flaw, it's a feature. You were built to receive from others, to collaborate, to grow in connection. And when we stop trying to be everything, we start to realize that what we bring to the table is more than enough. Competition starts to fall apart when you understand this system. You start to see that your strengths aren't better or worse than anyone else's. They're just different, and they're needed. You don't need to be the best. You need to be yourself. The more you become, the more space you create for others to become themselves. Let me say that again. The more you become, the more space you create for others to become themselves. And isn't that what we all want deep down? To be seen, to be valued, to stop performing and just be? Now, let me be clear. Competition isn't always a bad thing. In business, for example, competition can be really useful. It pushes companies to innovate, to serve better, to grow. It creates options for consumers. It drives quality and creativity. But even then, the businesses that truly rise to the top, they aren't copying. They're standing in their own uniqueness. They've stopped trying to be a knockoff of someone else, and instead, they've gotten crystal clear on who they are, who they serve, and why they matter. That applies to you too. You don't need to hustle your way into someone else's seat at the table. You're here to build a new table, one that fits your gifts, your values, your vision. Now let me shift gears and tell you a little story, and thank you for staying with me this far. When we first got our goats here on the farm, one of them needed to go to the vet. So there I was, driving my 20-year-old Jeep Wrangler, no air conditioning, smelling like gasoline and goat poop, windows down, sweat dripping down my back, and I couldn't have been happier. I remember thinking, this is it. This is my life, and I love it. Would you be happy in that moment? Chances are probably not, but I was, because I was in my element, messy, real, alive. And that's the point. Stop denying yourself the life that lights you up just because someone else wouldn't understand it. Their joy isn't your joy. Their dream isn't your dream. Their success is not your success. If you're waiting for the world to validate your path, you'll be waiting forever. Instead, validate it yourself. Own it. Be unapologetically you. For my Christian followers brave enough to keep listening, Psalm 139 says, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. What the Hebrew origins are saying is that you have been created with awe-inspiring reverence and set apart in a way that is miraculous and unique. It's a reminder that you weren't just thrown together. You were deliberately and miraculously crafted, unlike anyone else before or after you. Do you know that full well? Because when you do, you stop apologizing for who you are. You stop shrinking to make others feel comfortable. You stop competing and you start creating, living, laughing, and learning, and always coming back to yourself. The philosopher Epictetus said, no great thing is created suddenly. Your greatness isn't a sprint. It's a remembering, a returning, a reclaiming of who you are before the world told you otherwise. So when I look back, I see the clues that were always there. Like when I was a kid on the soccer field and my dad would tell me to be more aggressive. He could see that I had the skill. He just wanted me to go after the ball, to take it from the other player. I couldn't do it. Not because I wasn't trying hard enough or didn't care, but because something in me just couldn't push like that. I wasn't wired to dominate. I was wired to flow. I didn't want to conquer. I wanted to collaborate. And now, through human design, I finally understand that that was never a flaw. It was by design. Or take that moment with my goat in the Jeep. No air, gas fumes and goat poop, sweat everywhere, and yet I was completely in my element. Would that bring most people joy? Probably not. But for me, it was a moment of alignment. A moment where I felt fully alive, not because everything was polished or perfect, but because I was being me, unapologetically. And here's what's really interesting. This understanding isn't just something I've learned, it's something that I'm living right now. As the owner of Full Circle Retreats, I don't worry about Google reviews or how we stack up next to the other venues, because there isn't another space quite like ours. And that's not pride, it's peace. I know my role. My calling is to support retreat hosts in creating the container for transformation. I hold the space so they can share their unique gifts. And that's my gift, to amplify their message, to help them rise, to shine a light on what they bring to this world. There is no competition when you're in your lane. There's just clarity. There's collaboration. There's community. And that's what I want for you and for all of us. Stop comparing. Stop apologizing. Stop dimming your light because someone else is shining theirs differently. No one before you and no one after you will ever be made quite the same. You are a once in human history combination of energy, wisdom, desire, and grace. Let go of the myth that you need to keep up. You're not behind. You're not broken. And you're not in competition. You're in process. You're in motion. You're in creation. So I'll leave you with this. Stop trying to hide what makes you different. Embrace it. Stop playing small. Stop waiting for permission. You're not in competition. You're in creation. You're in motion. You're in alignment. This is what you were made for. And your only job is to become more fully you. Until next time, keep questioning, keep softening, and keep choosing the life that was designed just for you. Thanks for listening. P.S. If you're curious to learn more about human design and want to explore your own unique chart, I highly recommend connecting with Tina Grello, the expert guiding me on this journey. You can run your own chart for free and book a private session at journeytolove.info. That's journeytolove.info. She also has a few books on Amazon on this topic. Tina's insight, compassion, and wisdom have been such a gift, and I know they will be for you too.